Okay, so now example number 6 is almost identical to example number 4, but now we have the natural log, which means what? Who remembers what the natural log means? Somebody just say it out loud. Or not. Oh wait, let me write this a different way. I want to follow the way the book does it. Alright. So, let's talk about that. Now I can plug this in the calculator, and I will in just a second. The natural log is really the logarithmic function with a base of e. And so I have b, or the square root of, the square root of e. I said b and I meant to say e. Okay? Now, I can find the answer to this if I could write, I noticed that this has a base of e, and this has e in it, which is also a base, technically. So how do I write that in exponential form? Well, the square root of e is e raised to what power? Do you guys remember? Let me show you. This is e to the first power, and when we take the square root, it has an index of 2. And so in your mind, what you should be thinking is power over root index. In other words, we can rewrite this as the log base e of e to the 1 over 2. Okay? And so then what's the answer? Yes?
1/2.
1/2. Very good. Now, we can verify that on the calculator. Like I said, your calculator will do log with a base of 10, and it'll also do the natural log. So right underneath the log button, there's the natural log. And so if I do the natural log of second square root, e is the second divide sign, close, close, hit enter, I get 0.5, which is 1/2. Right? Does that make sense? Okay. Can I move on to another one? Now, by the way, every time when I did this problem on the calculator, I noticed a lot of calculators sitting on your desk. I'll give you guys a couple seconds. Grab your calculator, plug it in now. Make sure you're getting it entered in properly. Make sure you're getting your right answers. Okay? Were you able to get it on your calculator? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good. All right. All right, so let's do the next one. So now the next one, that's one example. If I take the natural log of e to the 5th, what is that answer going to be? Yeah, we know it's 5. Plug it in your calculator right now. Is it 5? What if on accident you accidentally hit the log button? Would you get 5? No. Okay, I've seen people do it. On the ACT, would they give you both answers? Yes. And if you made one mistake, what happens? You get it wrong. So it's good that you guys know that this is 5, right? Because really, technically, it's log base e of e to the 5th, and kind of these cancel each other out, and that gives you the 5. And what we want to do, so basically what I'm saying is if I plug this in like so, right, I'll get the answer of 5. But I'm in a hurry and I go, oh yeah, that's the natural log, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do the natural log of e. And I go like this on accident. Well, my calculator doesn't know what's on the paper. It's depending on me to put the right stuff in. That's why I want you guys to practice this on your calculators. Because by the way, on the ACT, they'll have both answers as an option. Okay? All right. Any more questions on that one? Let's do one more for the fun of it. Now, I have e raised to the natural log of 4. Anybody know the answer to this without looking on their calculator? Yeah, we know it's 4, right? Because these are inverse operations, sort of, and they undo each other, so we're left with 4. Now, how do I verify that on the calculator? Plug it in, plug it in. So I'm going to say e, second divide, raised to, and I'm going to start parentheses, the natural log of 4, close, close, and hit enter, and I should get what number? 4. I see a hand up. What's your question?
Can you take the log of a negative number?
Can you take the log of a negative number? I have to be careful about how I answer that. Let me finish this video, and then well, no, we could just do it in this video. Let me, so the question is, can we take the log of a negative number? So, I want to make a distinction of, let's just start with the natural log of x, okay? Now remember the relationship, so this is really log base e of x, and that's equal to y, right? And we said that the relationship between this is b to the y equals x, or in this case, it's e to the y equals x, right? Is that right? So now your question is can you take the log of a negative number? And then my answer is, it depends. So if I take a negative number, I would have to say like log base e of negative x, which puts this as negative. Okay? Now we got to think this through a little bit. My base would have to be a negative number, and generally, my base would have to be a negative number in order for it to work kind of sort, or, well, let me, there's two scenarios, right? Like, in order to make this number negative, right? So let me back up a little bit. Let me start over, okay? Let me start with a very basic, we'll do it very symbolically in a very general form, okay? And then we say that the relationship is b to the y equals x. And so remember that the question is can we take the log of a negative number? Right? And I think what you're referring to is this right here, right? Can x be negative, right? Is that what you're referring to? Okay. So now we've got to look at this relationship. So basically what we're saying is our base b is raised to the y, and it's done in such a way that x is negative. Now the only way that you could do, so remember that y is a power, right? So I'm going to have to raise my base b to that power. Well, there's only like one way to get a negative number when you raise it to the power. And I'll write the example, and then I want you to think about the answer. Consider this. If I say negative 3 to the third power, right, I would get negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Now, negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. When I bring the negative 3 down, then I get negative 27. In other words, negative 3 raised to the 3 equals negative 27. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Now, when we talk about bases, in general, we don't use a negative base. Does that make sense? In general, most of the time the base is positive. Now, if it's positive, I'll never get a negative number. Does that make sense? Okay. So I don't want to say yes or no. I would leave it open to say depends, because who knows, maybe some mathematician somewhere will find a use for a negative base. But generally when we talk about bases, we talk about raising it to a power or something. And to be honest with you, I can't recall, not now, right now off the top of my head, where I used a negative base. The bases have always been positive. Okay? All right. And that's how it'll be in your homework too. Okay? But it's